Okay, I think we've waited enough, and we can start. And whoever is joining us later can just join. So, hi everyone. My name is Eitan Kachka. I'm heading the ecosystem development in B.Protocol since we launched, and this is our first community call. An exciting moment in every protocol, probably. A short intro about myself. Been in this crypto journey since early 2014. Was one of the founders of an early DApp called Lazuz. Was doing a carpooling application on top of the Bitcoin blockchain back then. Met Yaron Vellner, the founder of B.Protocol, a few years ago when we worked together on a POC with Toyota. And joined B.Protocol last summer. So in this, let me share screen. Yep. So just a short recap on B.Protocol, though I think everyone here is quite familiar with what we do, but launched last October with integrations on top of MakerDAO and Compound. Though TVL currently is a little bit low, we came up to, it was roughly 270 million. Did a few collaborations with Ensure Network for insurance, for a combo, added B.Protocol 88 MPH is coming soon, Needle as well, and we have a few more coming up. And specifically for this call, we wanted to go over V2, which was just announced lately, last week. And Yaron Vellner will go through V2. Then I'll present shortly the Growth Squad proposal that I've just put on our forum 2 days ago, and we'll have some time for Q&A. So yeah, without further ado, I'll just hand it over to Yaron to present V2. Yaron, you will have to unmute.
Okay. Thank you, Eitan, and thank you everyone for joining. So let me share my screen. Okay. So I'll present V2. There are also a lot of questions and wondering on the connection between V1 and V2 and how everything connects. So I'll try to do some quick catch up with some slides. So first of all, how it all started and what was the purpose to begin with. So everything started because we identified, along with a few others, that different a month liquidations, but percentage-wise, eventually, this is for $200 million capital. Of course, there will be less in DeFi. But also fewer liquidations. So the potential is big. Of course, it will start on smaller scale. Okay. So this is what V2 does. How V2 fits into everything we did so far. So first of all, as I mentioned before, it can fit into the V1 as another backstop. So we already have 2 to 3 members. It can be the fourth one. But it also integrates with or will be controlled by the governance. At least with LUSD, with Liquidity, the plan is that the rebalance model will take some fees from the user. Our DAO, the BPRO holders, will control over the fee and the risk parameters. And same is expected also for other platforms. As for liquidity mining, so this is something to discuss, and closer to the date we will go live. Obviously we will not, and also we cannot do any liquidity mining program without the community approval, and it will be very much depends on each project and the value we could provide and extract from each of the projects. So this is the governance, and so for V2 to succeed, so we will need user to really deposit liquidity there, to understand and trust the algorithm. We will need lending platforms to collaborate with us, and as I mentioned, we are very close to finalize a collaboration with B0X. So lending platforms integrating with us is one direction. Another direction is to potentially build new applications, which will kind of be hybrid of V1 and V2. For example, allowing higher leverage vaults on Maker or higher leveraged accounts on Compound, and using our backstop to liquidate them. That's the final slide. Be happy to answer questions on V2 if you have any.
Yeah, let's. I planned initially to keep the Q&A for the end, but maybe if there are any questions on V2 specifically, we'll probably just take it now if anyone has something to ask.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, one question. So Liquidity, they have the stability pool, and I'm not sure how the liquidations work, but I mean, people put LUSD there and liquidations happen. What changes from the user perspective? What do users need to be doing differently? Because right now, all the front ends for Liquidity, and there's a ton of money in that stability pool. They're like $600 million. What needs to change on that front for this to work?
Yeah. So Liquidity provides the stability pool, and the idea is that users will have to deposit to the stability pool via our proxy. And what we will offer to the users is currently users now deposit LUSD to the stability pool. If there is a liquidation, part of their LUSD is being converted to ETH. Users who will deposit it via B.Protocol will have their ETH automatically being rebalanced, meaning it will be sold in return to LUSD, and then will be deposited again in the stability pool. So for users, we save the hassle and also maybe part of the risk of rebalancing their position.
So all front ends, so Liquidity has multiple front ends, right? They're decentralized. So all of them, how would you
So in that regard, we will have to either to offer, and we will probably offer our own front end, right, where users can deposit. And we also consider collaboration with other front ends, but in the sense that what I mentioned before is that B0X will actually be the fully featured V2. This is kind of a preliminary V2 where users still need to opt in, and we are not like the native backstop of everything. So user will have to come to either our front end, or we will offer it to the front ends, to feature us. But it still be, user will have to deposit to the stability pool via our platform.
And you would incentive some B-Pro for, in addition to the Liquidity you get right now?
Yes, so this is also something to discuss. So, first of all, we do offer kind of a new service. I mean, it's automatic service, right? But users right now have to rebalance their ETH, which both cost them gas and also has some risk there, because this is mostly happening when the market goes down. We will also, and we also to discuss it with the community, whether liquidity mining program will be needed there. But again, unlike what we did so far with Maker and Compound, here we actually provide, like additional value to the user. So the hope is that even if initially we will have to give them some B.Pro to join, for the long run, they will use us because it's a service they want and need.
I think there's a difference between what we're doing now with Liquidity, and we're in touch with the team and we're still discussing all the details, and of course the front end issue is one thing, because it's one of the only protocols that have multiple front ends, and I think this is kind of an opt-in system, because users need to pick whatever front end they want to use to interact with the protocol. So it's kind of built-in feature. So they will have to also, choose to use the front end with B.Protocol as a backstop. But I think comparing that to what, for example, we're going to offer with hopefully with B0X soon, and discussing it with other platforms as well, is, to offer something which is more than, as Yaron mentioned, just offering something that users need, getting their rebalancing within the protocol. So with B0X, we will actually enable to offer higher leverage for users, using B.Protocol. So yeah, but still building it. Any more questions? Also, if someone prefers to just add questions, there's a community call chat. So you can just type whatever questions you want over there. It's for us to chat during the call, instead of just doing that on general or on the community channel. So yeah, we'll have more time later for more questions if anyone wants to add, and maybe we'll go for the next thing, which is the growth squad. So basically, I suggested it will be the growth squad, kind of a marketing team based on the community members that will join in, hopefully somewhere between 3 to 5 members, with the main goal of basically, growing awareness and eventually number of users of B.Protocol. Focusing currently, of course, on V1, but down the road and hopefully pretty soon, it will be also regarding V2 on whatever integrations we will have there. But currently, just focusing on V1, adding more MakerDAO users and Compound users to pick B.Protocol as their interface to manage their CDPs, and part of that will be, getting some kind of agreement from, get a vote from the community to get some initial funding for the squad. We'll start, of course, with small numbers, just, to test case how all this format is working, and will grow gradually. There's kind of a detailed, at least initially, proposal on the forum, so everyone is welcome to have a look and add whatever suggestions that you might have from either other protocols, other projects you've been participated in, or just from your general knowledge in the DeFi ecosystem. There were 2 other programs that we are discussing, and that will be also be posted on the forum, hopefully by next week. One of them is an ambassador program, getting a few of the kind of leading community members who are familiar with the protocol deeply and somehow deeply connected to what B.Protocol is doing, and where we are heading and the vision, and start to kind of promote the protocol in their own communities. It can be other projects, it can be geographical, it can be language based, whatever. And the second thing is kind of an influencers growth hacking committee. So we are in touch with a few, but it's still, there's kind of trying to get kind of a committed group of very known people in DeFi. I'm not talking only about advisors, but actually a group of mainly Twitter OGs in DeFi that can or again are familiar with B.Protocol, think that what B.Protocol is offering is valuable for DeFi and can actually help us get the news out for the ecosystem. There's so much happening in DeFi, and it's so hard to get the attention of people. So that would be something also to see how the DAO can actually can push forward. We will also announce in the coming days about a few advisors who are actually joining B.Protocol as formal advisors. One of them is Mariano Conti from ex-MakerDAO, smart contract lead. So he'll be joining us. And yeah, we'll announce a few others also next week. That's another issue that we still need to discuss in the community is about the liquidity mining program, the phase 2. Phase 1, the first program is ending in a month, and I think it's about time to start discussing what's going to be in phase 2. Both how long it's going to be, what are the incentives going to look like, and so on. It seems like phase 1, the goals that we hoped for weren't fully achieved. There weren't a lot of new users joining in, though there was a new token, and kind of I know a few members in the community hope that this is going to be a great boost for for the protocol, and we haven't achieved that. Probably a few reasons, but we're looking forward and trying to figure out what we can do better in phase 2, and this is where we the community, this is the place to offer whatever you think can assist in growing the protocol eventually, with this incentive program basically. So we did, think about, having staking added, some KPI-based rewards, trying to get in touch with the UMI project to see if maybe something like that, maybe something that Curve is using, something that, rewards will be granted according to certain KPIs achieved. But, I'm sure there are other ideas, and this is where we call the community, to join in and, suggest best practices for the next phase. I think that's it, at least from my end. And we can just open that for a Q&A. I think there were a few questions people submitted in advance. Yaron, do you want to answer some of them? I'll try and have a look as well.
Yeah, Eitan, so maybe if you can share it on your screen and I will answer.
I'll try. Can you see that?
Yeah. Okay, so let's go maybe one by one. So regarding partnership with Crystal. So I was CTO of Kyber. We are definitely in close relations there. Right now, supporting more lending platforms is not in the roadmap. but we definitely, once it is, we'll try to catch up with them again. Okay, so V1 versus V2, I think I already covered it in the slides, but I will reiterate that V1 will remain not only supported but also promoted. And again, it's not that, so V1 it's quite hard, but it's not about V2 the only way, but it actually complements V1. And can actually in the future add more features to V1. Okay, so in terms of V2, for the third questions, whether it's a separate LP solution, so it's kind of LP solution only for liquidations, but for example, one architecture can be that in the absence of liquidations, it will just be a constant product like Uniswap, and moreover, in the absence of liquidations, it could just provide liquidity to Uniswap. And only when liquidations occur, then it could pull the funds and use it for liquidations. But otherwise, it is kind of LP solution. In terms of B-Pro being kind of the backstop to the backstop, so it is something that could happen, but not in the current valuation of B-Pro. I mean, once there is sufficient market to support it, then maybe. And it's definitely an idea, and it's definitely the way Maker, for example, having MKR backing their lending platform, etc. In terms of incentivizing staking, so this is definitely something we consider, and Eitan mentioned it.
Yaron, I see also James was asking, if we can elaborate a little bit more on, how V2 actually supports small assets, low, small cap, or low liquidity assets on lending platforms. You wanna take it?
So as you know, most projects, by the way, including B.Protocol, already incentivize spot liquidity, meaning Uniswap liquidity, as part of their yield farming program or whatever. So actually, DEX liquidity, so of course it could be improved, right? But you do have decent DEX liquidity even for the smaller cap tokens. However, because it's in Uniswap, so even though there is a lot of liquidity, you cannot really take big amounts at a single shot. And one thing we identified, and we also showed in the white paper, that so we can have this architecture where projects actually incentivize users to provide liquidity to Uniswap via B.Protocol. And then in normal times, it is just used over Uniswap, but when liquidations are needed, so B.Protocol will take the funds from Uniswap and will do the liquidation more efficiently. So it's kind of using the Uniswap liquidity as a buffer, but not according to Uniswap formula.
And I see also there was questions about whether B.Protocol is if users of B.Protocol are more careful, as we do not get as many liquidations as other protocols are getting. And I think first of all, probably at least if we look at the numbers, then probably that's the case. And I think, and it was also discussed on Discord a few times, is how can we attract more kind of risky profile users into B.Protocol, if that maybe can be achieved by a specific reward mechanism or something like that. And I think this is something we can definitely discuss further, maybe even for the coming for the second liquidity mining program. And regarding the last question, if that's kind of a B2B solution, should B.Protocol be targeting other protocols integrations versus accumulating more users, which is more of a B2C kind of way. And, as you all mentioned, at the end, B.Protocol is aiming to get, to become the go-to place for everything, related to liquidations, being a backstop, building block in DeFi for any platform. So that would be definitely a B2B integration, which V2 is basically heading there. So integration, for example, that we are discussing with B0x is exactly that. Like users who will be using B0x with the backstop by B.Protocol, they probably will be aware that there is a backstop because there will be different conditions on that specific pair or pairs that we will be backstopping. But that's it. It's not kind of an opt-in system like we have currently with V1. So yeah, this is where we are heading. It's kind of a step-by-step progress that we're doing, but yeah. So we can just open that for any other questions if anyone has anything to add, and I think we can just take, the rest of that, continue the discussions on Discord, on the forum. I personally think that, if we can just bring, more awareness to the protocol just by, pushing it out there in, on social media, on Twitter, having more discussions, on Discord, putting more life, into the forum. These things, it's kind of small steps by everyone, and together we can kind of ramp it up and get more traction. And of course, there are more kind of top down and bottom up processes, and we're trying to do them both. Yeah, so open for questions if anyone has anything to ask on anything related to B.Protocol. That's the time. And if not, we'll just wrap it up.
I think so that's good that you mentioned the V2 trying to be a B2B. I think that's one of the keys, because liquidation is a bad word in a sense, right? So that's also why it's difficult to attract people, I think, because nobody wants to be liquidated, right? But the protocol needs it for survival. So that's probably one of the potential problems in attracting more people to the system.
Yeah, I definitely agree. There's a lot of there's a big gap, knowledge gap in DeFi, and I think in crypto in general, about the important part of liquidations in the ecosystem, and this is what we are trying. We try to bridge this gap. We're trying to do as many AMAs as we can, and going on podcasts, and and just trying to get this out. We had this Defiant video a few weeks back, which was all about liquidations after we approached them and told them, this is something you should teach and educate the DeFi ecosystem about, and they made it. So yeah, I agree. It's a huge issue, and yeah, we're getting there. So if any last questions, you can still take them, and if not, we'll just say goodbye. We hope to make that as a monthly thing, unless we'll see there is a higher demand. We can do it a bi-weekly thing as well. So yeah. Yolan, anything you want to add before we close up?
No, just want to thank everyone for taking the time to participate, and yeah, looking forward for the next call.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.